We say what they can't radio.
What's up, world? Hope everybody's having a beautiful and productive day. This is my first podcast, and I'm so excited. The name of this podcast is going to be called Young, Gifted, and Black. I'm going to talk about social issues. I'm going to talk about ways that people of color could come together within their community to push the culture forward. We're going to have good debates, great discussions, but the point of this is to show the unity and show the love and show what happens when you put your mind to it and want to bring your dreams to life. Today on my first podcast, I have two guests. The first guest, his name is Curtis, and the name of his business is?
Love Period.
Introduce yourself to the people.
How you doing, man? I'm Curtis Mathis. Got a brand out, Love Period. Out of Queens, raised in Brooklyn, raised.
Absolutely. Same here. What about you, Tiama? What's the name of your business?
Nakai's Gallery.
Okay.
That's my business where I sell paintings, and also I'm a poet, so I have showcases and I sell my art.
Okay. So tell me a little bit, before I want to get back to you, because you were a little bit, you elaborated a little bit on your business.
Right.
Tell me a little bit more about your business, Kirk. Like, what made you want to be an entrepreneur? Did you start out wanting to be an entrepreneur when you was a young kid, or is this something that just happened? Like, what made you want to start your own business?
Something that just happened. I always been into clothes, style, and all that.
Okay.
I always wanted to have my own clothing brand.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? I always was scared. I ain't have enough courage to get it going. You know what I'm saying?
What were you scared about?
Failing.
Mm-hmm.
I could say honestly, failing.
Which most of us are about starting our own business or in life in
failing,
general.
caring too much about what people think.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But
What made you take that extra step and start it?
I went to a transition maybe like 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
where I had to just start taking charge of myself. You know what I'm saying? Getting in tune with myself, just taking charge of everything I wanted, going for everything I wanted.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah. What about you, T? Tell me a little bit. What gave you the motivation? I know you're my friend, but I'm like a mentor to you as well. So I've been watching you over the last couple of years since you was in high school. Now you're about to graduate from college in a year. What gave you that motivation to start your own business?
Well, I come from a family of artists, painters, fashion designers, stuff like that. So I started creating as a young child just based off my environment, and I was naturally good at it.
Mm-hmm.
So from elementary school, I was working at it, and by the time I was in high school, I was good enough to get accepted to the Parsons Scholar Program,
Beautiful.
which is a high school program for minority, low-income students who get the scholarship to take college art classes at the Parsons University.
Okay.
So from there, I got good enough to be able to sell my first painting in high school, and I started doing commission work, and it was really like picking up for me. But I had other people doubting me that pushed me to go further. Like a close person to you telling you can't do something or you can't make it with your passion. That's what pushed me. That's what gave me the strength and the
Somebody telling
motivation.
you that you
like,
couldn't do.
Yeah, my own father would tell me like, you can't be. Artists don't make enough money. Like, you're not gonna make it doing this. You don't know if you're good enough to be on that level. There's only a certain amount of people. So you telling me that is like, all right, I'm gonna push myself to. I'm gonna show you. Like,
So
get it.
You had that drive to want to show and prove and show that you could do something amazing.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
beautiful. And how did you get better? Like, I see now, like, you're able to draw people sitting down. You're selling art. Like, how did you master your
I
craft?
practiced. I bust my ass. I worked every day. I gave up weekends. I gave up summers to take classes every day at that university until I was at a certain level. You know, so it just took like putting all of my emotion, my anger, everything into my passion, into my art.
Well, I can relate to both of y'all. I've always dreamed of being an entrepreneur since I was real young. Like, I never could really tell you, like, when I was like 10, 11, like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be like Jay-Z. I never wanted to be like anybody but the best version of myself. But I didn't know what that was when I was younger. And when I got older, you know, we tend to procrastinate. I graduated from college, I think. My first time graduating from college was in 2005, 2006. I got my associates in human services, and when I came home, I got myself into some trouble. You know what I'm saying? Started selling drugs. Started, you know, hanging around people within the community I always wanted to hang out with, but I was always too busy playing basketball, going to school, and now I had the time after work to hang out with these people. And in the process of me doing something wrong, or not being my best self, I had time to think about a lot of things, sitting in staircases, drinking and talking and getting up with people. And I used to always tell my friends, like, yo, watch, I'm gonna have my own brand one day. I'm gonna have my own t-shirt line, and people gonna wear my t-shirt line, and I'm gonna be super big. And I don't know the name of this company yet, but I'm gonna do it. And some years back, I think I was having a conversation with my friends, and he said I was cool for life, but I don't remember that story, so I'm gonna say that I came up with cool for life, and I was like, cool for life is catchy, like, I like that.
I believe him, because you be doing that sometimes.
So, I mean, hey, that's why you gotta record stuff, you know what I'm saying? So, I decided in 2015 that I was gonna start this business. I didn't have enough money to start the actual t-shirt line. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna get the paperwork filled out, and thank God for my girlfriend, because she helped me fill out a lot of the paperwork, and she made me stay on it. And I started the business. I had a website called coolforlife.com, and that summer I was able to get enough money. I made my first t-shirt, never forget it. It had a beach on the back with Cool for Life in the front on a white shirt. And in my mind, I thought I was going to buy these 50 shirts and they was going to sell out the next day. It was going to be like, boom, and I'm the man. But that wasn't the reality of it. I ended up wearing like 25 of them. I ended up having to discount a lot of them, but it didn't stop me. I kept going summer after summer. And I think before the fourth summer, I was like, yo, you know what? I really need to master my craft. Like, I really need to learn how to do this, because I'm spending thousands of dollars on these t-shirts and on these clothes, and I could be using this money to build my brand. So that summer, me and my girlfriend, we went to Jersey, and a good friend of ours taught us how to screen print, basic, like one setup, boom, boom. All right, I said, all right. A couple months passed, a good friend was like, yo, I invest a couple dollars with you. I saved some of my money, and I got all the equipment I needed, the screen print equipment. It was thousands of dollars. I thought that I was going to be able to, again, just the next day, I was going to be making sweatshirts. Look what I made. It wasn't that. I didn't know how to put the equipment together. I didn't know how to use the equipment. It took me about 6 months to really even master being able to make my first shirt. So I get where the hard work and dedication come in at. But I kept watching YouTube videos. I bought a bunch of fabric. I kept practicing on the fabric. And eventually, I was able to produce my own sweatshirt, or my own t-shirt, or my own hoodie. So that part of the business was something that I was kind of straying away from. So what do you think about ways of bettering your own business? Like, what is something that you may have had to add to, like, you have love period? Like, so in the process of you starting it, what are some things that you had to add? Like, for me, I added screen printing, and I taught myself how to market and how to understand the business as a whole. What about you?
I had to teach myself how to make these shirts. I do everything from the crib, right from my living room. I'm not as advanced as you. You know what I'm saying? I got a silhouette machine.
No, it's not even about that.
Right.
You're funny.
I got a silhouette machine. I use vinyls, and just consistency, just going at it, just sitting there going at it. Even when I'm frustrated, just keep going at it.
Absolutely. A good friend said, I think Dave Chappelle said this, he said failure is informative. And I used to look at failure when I was younger, like, yo, if I fail, I messed up. Like, I failed. Right. But as I got older, I started to realize that the informative part of failing is that it shows you the steps of what you should have did better. So we look at failing, it could be relationships, it could be businesses, it could be friendships, it could be careers. We look at failing like, oh my God, I just failed. Like, what are my parents, what are my friends that think of me? But suppose you was in the wrong career. Suppose you was with the wrong person. Or suppose you should have been an entrepreneur instead of working for somebody 9 to 5. Sometimes you need these slips and these falls for you to get a better understanding of where you should be. So going back real quick, cool for life, right? So after I taught myself how to screen print, I had all of these products now. Like I'm making all of these different quotes. I'm putting all these different designs. I have a house full of, because I turned my living room into a studio. So I said, you know what? The average person, they watching the big 50 screen. They got the nice, comfortable couch, but there's no residual income coming in. We living check to check here. We watching these big movies like we in a movie theater, but where's the residual income? So I said, you know what? Ain't gonna be no living. We ain't watching no movies there. We can go to the movie theaters. I said, I'm gonna get these good machines, and I'm gonna learn how to make myself residual income every week. And it hasn't really happened the way I want it to happen yet, but nothing did starting this business. Every time I thought it was gonna go one way, and went the opposite way. So what would you say to the viewer that has an idea of starting their business, but when they start it, it doesn't go nothing the way they thought that it was gonna go? Like, what advice would you give them?
I would say that everything evolves, and going back to what you was asking about, like what would you add in? Like sometimes life just takes you a different path, it takes you a different way, but you gotta trust the process. So when I started with the painting business, I was really more focused on that more than anything else. But another big part of me is my poetry and my music and my passion for that, and I can't separate the two. So that became another part of my business, and when I added that in, the whole aspect changed. Like I grew so much more of a following. I had so much more of people like connecting with me, because it's like my words and my art goes together. Like my visual art and my music and my poetry, it all comes together for you to really feel me. So I wouldn't have imagined when I was in elementary school starting out doing this that I would be this deep, like, into poetry as well, and those two were tied together, but my life just took me that way. So you just gotta trust the process, and what you think might be the best for you, God might have a whole nother plan, and it could be something way better than what you thought, and way better than what you thought you wanted.
So that's a great point, and I appreciate you for sharing. So Kirk, let me ask you, you run your business. You know, I see you selling T-shirts. I see people in your sweatshirts and your hoodies. But do you have anything else going on in career-wise? What else do you do?
I'm actually a CEO of Stay. I work with the youth. You know, that's another thing that actually got me to start investing in myself. Like every job, I've always had good jobs coming up. You know what I'm saying? But I always get to a point where it's like, this can't be it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this can't be it. You know. And my job, like I love my job right now. You know, I work with the youth. I'm good with the youth. They listen to me. You know what I'm saying? I build them up. I give them another way of thinking. It's dope. Even when they leave, they come, they holler at me, they call me for that advice. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like now I'm at that point where I gotta give to myself. You know what I'm saying? This is for me. This is me stepping into something for myself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I currently right now I'm at LIU pursuing my master's in social work, and I'm basically balancing a business and a career at the same time, because for me, I do think that one day Cool for Life is going to be like this multi-billion-dollar brand that's spread throughout the world and is providing positive messages, employment, scholarships for colleges. It's going to be the whole shebang. But I also think that it's just as important for me to give back to the community, and for me to have the mindset to be able to change these kids' mindsets, or to be able to provide them with cultural competence or financial literacy. And a lot of us say like, oh yeah, when I get rich and wealthy, I'm going to help everybody. But you have to understand the mindset of what that means, because everybody needs to be helped in different ways. So working on my master's now in social work, it provides me the mindset and the skills for me to be able to diagnose, for me to be able to address people on a micro level, which is individual, on a meso level, which is small groups, and on a macro level, which is big groups. So it's extremely hard for me to be in the program that I'm in right now and run my business. But what drives me is the dedication. It's the passion. It's the idea of that I decided that I wanted to bring my dreams to life, and that I wasn't gonna let nothing stop me from doing so. So on both fronts, when I work at a high school, I work in Boys and Girls High School, I work in my community. I try my best to be a strong leader. So when young people, men and women, see me, they can say, okay, this young brother stand for something. If he even trying to sell me a sweater, or I watch him in the morning give motivational speeches, they could say that I'm doing something positive within the community. So I would ask y'all, like, how important do you think it is to for service? What do you think about service? Like, I know you work in a group home, right? And I know you mentor, you give back to young kids. But how important do you feel it is to give back in the community, like philanthropy and service?
I feel like our community especially needs like strong leaders and mentors to guide the youth, because at this time a lot of us are so lost and we need that guidance. So it's our responsibility as people of color, as black people, to look out for our youth and the kids coming up, because they're the future, and we got a lot to change. So we got to be that example. We got to set that example for them to show that you can go another way. You have other options. Like, we working through our art and our passions, and they could do the same. They could do productive things that's going to lead them to a better life. You have more options, and we just got to set that example for them.
I agree.
I actually had a kid sit me down and was like, yo, I didn't know it was dudes like you. Like, I ain't know that. Like, I ain't know you could sit here and talk my talk at the same time talk about real estate or having your own company or something like
And
that.
positive things. Like, everything you put out there is positive.
Right, everything. You know what I'm saying? Or just a different mindset, period. Like, what he knew was what he knew. And meeting me and a couple of other officers, he's like, wow. Like, he was really like in awe, like, wow. You know what I mean? So yeah, we do need strong black leaders out there, man. Absolutely.
What comes to mind to me is that poverty, right? When people think about poverty, they think about the circumstance. Like, I make $15,000 or I live in the hood. But poverty, honestly, to me, those are variables to poverty. But one of the major variables to poverty to me is the mindset of buying into poverty. So you buy in that you less than, you buy in that you comfortable with your surroundings, you buy in that somebody could label you and tell you what you are. And I think that because there are people that I grew up I got two sides. I grew up in St. Albans, Queens for the first 11 years of my life. So my grandma's was having me do garden work, and I was going to private school, and then I got too bad. And she said, you need a male figure, so you're going to move with my son in Brooklyn. So I moved in with my grandfather and my aunt, which is his daughter. And Brooklyn was like a whole different monster. The schools was different. The block was different. It was a whole community. I tell a quick story. I remember I got into a little scuffle with one of my friends, and I went upstairs and told my aunt. She was like, oh, what? You got into a scuffle? She's like, you gotta go back outside and fight. So I'm coming from Queens though. So I'm like, all right. So the dude like, oh, you ready? So he got his hands up, he ready. Like me, I'm thinking I'm a Power Ranger. I'm Tommy from the Power Rangers. So I get into the Power Ranger stance. I'm like, you ready? So I try to like karate kick my dude. My man grabbed my leg, beat the living daylights out of me. That was like my introduction to Brooklyn. Like, they ain't playing Power Rangers out here, buddy. You better learn how to fight. But long story short, like, I moved out here and I got that male figure. I got that tough Brooklyn love. Brooklyn did make me tough. It makes you comfortable everywhere, because once you own who you are here, then you can own it everywhere. And I see a lot of my friends buy into the idea of poverty. I don't see a lot of my friends right now with 850 credit scores. Everybody has houses. Everybody's out of debt. I see a lot of them that they accept what's available to them, and or either they didn't plan and it just like life snuck up on them and it just knocked them off their feet. So for a person that's creating wealth and creating a better legacy for my family and creating a stronger business, I want my viewers to know that poverty and failure are just limitations you create yourself. I want you to understand that. Like, so if you tell yourself you could do anything, like Jay-Z Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, they all had an idea and they bought into that idea and they pushed and they pushed and they pushed until that idea came to life. So now you see we have Apple phones. I'm here with a Mac computer. That was somebody's idea. Now if somebody would have been like, yo, that's a bad idea, and they would have bought into that, then we might not have never saw a Mac, or we might not never saw an iPhone. So if you have a dream or if you have an idea, don't allow your circumstance, don't allow your family structure, don't allow your community, don't allow anybody to stop you. You can go out there and get the knowledge, and you can continue to push and pull until you bring your dreams to life. I assure you that the universe will walk along with you. So once you show the universe, like, yo, you know what? I believe in myself. I'm going to start this business. Yeah, you might get knocked off your feet a couple of times. I got knocked off my feet. I lost a lot of money. I didn't sell a lot of t-shirts. I completely failed at certain things, but it gave me the fuel so that I could be here right now and use this motivation. Y'all get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So what do you in the next next 2 or 3 years, where do you see yourself in your business? Because I feel like in order for you to manifest, you have to have a vision and you have to hold on to that vision until it becomes a reality. So where do you see yourself within the next 2 or 3 years?
Well, within the next 2 or 3 years, I'm trying to have enough to move out on my own and get my first apartment. So that goes into my biggest goal is to like being able to take care of myself without having to have a full-time job that's not my business.
Mm-hmm.
Like I need to be able to be stable and be able to take care of myself and my bills and everything financially through my business. So it's gonna have to take off a lot more.
Mm-hmm. I got you. What about you? And it will.
Thank you.
Love period turned into actual a lifestyle for people around the world. Actually, you know what I'm saying? I think love in general is something that people lack. You know what I mean? And I'm coming to find out that people don't understand it. When you hear love, people think romance, hearts, Cupid, you know, lovey-dovey, you know, but it's really like it's one of the highest universal laws, right?
Mm-hmm.
Love brings people together naturally, and
I agree. That's why I resonate with your brand, and that's one of the reasons why I used to have the mindset that if I'm gonna do this podcast, then I better make sure that I don't have no other clothing brands or people that like. I have my own hoodie on right now. You have your own hoodie on right now. But as I evolved my mind, I understand now that together, the unity that we need to, you know, to have will give us the energy and the power needed for us to succeed. Right. And in the next couple of minutes, we're going to get into this conversation because that's the basis of this podcast for tonight. It's like Black entrepreneurship, and we talked a little bit about our businesses, and then we're going to talk a little more about why is it that it's so hard to get people of color to support one another. Where did we get this mindset from that we can go into Gucci or Louis Vuitton, or we could go into Montclair and we could drop thousands of dollars on them and not ask a question? But when it's to like go into supporting a Black-owned business, it's like, yo, how much is that? What did you make that at? What time did you make it at? Like, I don't know. You know, it's so much like kickback. And I don't think that the people understand that if we got our power back, because we gave our power, our accountability, we gave a lot of that away. If we got our power back, people of color would be like the most strongest entity known to man. But the only reason why we're not is because we're divided. Because everybody else has all of these different ideas, so we all going in many different directions. But if we will all redirect that energy into one base, we will be surprised what we can do. So I want to talk a little bit about Black entrepreneurship. We talked about Black-owned businesses, and I want to talk a little bit now of, in your opinion, where do you think the mindset of why we don't support one another came from? Like, where did that idea, like, was it always like that?
Well, no, it definitely wasn't always like that because we wasn't always like this, and this is not where we come from. Our people weren't anything like this, but it's the whole divide and conquer system that they had up against us that started it, and then it was like once it was in our minds, it became like mental slavery. Like they enslaved our mindsets. So at this point, like black people aren't even supporting themselves. So how are they gonna support other people? How are they gonna show unconditional love to each other and help each other? And they don't even care about themselves right now because of everything that they're going through. Wait, we talking about a certain percent because there are some black people who are like us that understand what's going on and they get like right. But so we have that, and then we have all these stereotypes against each other that they placed on us, and we just like reflected on ourselves, like, or on each other. And so I would hear people say all the time, like, oh, like I want to support black-owned businesses, but none of y'all need to take like a class of like service or how you treat people, and y'all all have attitudes, and y'all all like, you know, it's just so much like stereotypes set up against us already that people already have like negative connotations when they come to us. Like, I don't even know if I could trust that you really did this job well, or you put enough into it that I should even be paying you this much. Like, some people really think I just make paintings overnight. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like they question the fact that we work this hard to get where we should be, and that people should be paying these prices. Like, how many people have asked you, why is this t-shirt $50? Like,
or give me a discount. I have friends
Yeah.
that said, I'm your friend, so you
yeah, they
should give
think
me
they're
this for half
entitled
off.
to a discount
Yeah,
or
things
something
like that. I go through that. So just to touch a little bit on what you're saying, and I'm going to get to you in 1 second, Kirk, because I know you want to get into this. I think that I had a good conversation with a friend the other day, right? And I love Martin Luther King. I love the civil rights movement. I love the freedom riders. I love that whole idea. But the idea of inclusion with white people was a great idea. But I think the flaw in that idea is that we gave away our own values, because when we had no choice, the black communities were strong. They were nothing but black-owned mom and pop shops. The black dollar, the dollar touched the black's hand 20 times more before it left out of the community. We had a whole different mindset when the civil rights bill was passed. Even though I get the idea and it was very needed in that time, I think that we should have held more stronger to our values of if I had to teach my kid, if I had a kid right now and I had to teach them, you know, how to connect or adapt into society, I would say there's nothing wrong with connecting with white people or any ethnicity or color of person. But before you do so, you have to have a grid. You have to understand and love the value of who you are and where you come from. And it has to be intentional that you support your people before you support any other entity. Once you have that thought, now I could go out there if I want to go shop. If I see a good pair of boots or a good coat, I got a Burberry coat. I always wanted a nice hood coat. So I spend money sometimes. But is that my first goal? No. My first goal is to make sure that I support black-owned businesses. So I support the Caribbean spots. I make sure that I support every black-owned business that could come to mind, because I understand how important it is to build that economy. So I think that after the civil rights movement, they took the black only signs down and we were able to go in any restaurants, we lost that idea that we were always supposed to make sure that home or our people or our economy was good first before we went out there and spent our money in other places. And the more that we spent our money trying to fit in, the more that we lost our own values. And now it's like we're workers on everything on a big scale. The NBA come to mind. Like, how many black owned, other than Michael Jordan, how many black people, you know, own a team? But the NBA is ran by 70-80% people of color. If you take out all the people of color out the NBA, there is no multi-billion-dollar brand anymore. So why it's always like the upscale, like, and that's what I think the civil rights bill, that's what I think the whole Jim Crow and the whole slavery movement did. It gave them a pocket of time where they could put all of these different things in place that would slow us down or prevent us from being able to, like, sometimes I walk around, look at the different buildings, like when were these buildings created? And why weren't a lot of our people able to buy in? Like you understand what I'm saying? Just like the pockets of us being enslaved and fighting for our rights and fighting for freedom, they were like setting up different, or society was setting up different structures that would benefit certain demographics of people that wouldn't benefit certain demographics of people. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? What do you think about this?
My question is more, how do we gain that back? You know what I'm saying? Like how do we get that back?
Oh, that's a great question.
I think we should focus on that a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Like how we get it back. Like all that stuff. To me, all that stuff exists. You know what I'm saying? We know it exists. It's there. You know what I mean? But we also know it's a greatness to us, right? Let's focus on the greatness. Let's get to the greatness. You know what I'm saying? And I think when you gain a certain level of consciousness, all that stuff, kick it. We could use it. Yeah, use it. Use it for your fire. You know what I'm saying? Use it as your structure. But now let's focus on what's ahead of us. Let's get there. You know what I'm saying? Let's get there.
I absolutely agree. Like, what do we need to do moving forward? But when I think about it, right, before you can move forward, you have to have a direction. You have to know which way you want to go, right? And I think that in us connecting into other different, after we got our rights and after we were able to go out there and sit in a restaurant and we lost sight of supporting each other, I think that we have passed that idea on over generations to our kids. And for example, the current issue right now with Gucci and Montclair and Burberry. With the noose, and then Gucci using the blackface and Montclair using the blackface. I think that because I used to think about it, like why did I spend so much money on Jordans or Gucci's, or why did I spend so much money on clothes? Because at some point we added that would add to our self-worth. Maybe because we didn't have property, or maybe because we didn't have the businesses, or maybe because our families didn't have those big houses. It was so imperative for us to have the newest Jordans, or to make sure we had the newest coat, or make sure your hair was cut right, or to make sure you had that right shoe on. And I think that we have to get away from that. I always say this quote that the new illiterate of the 21st century will no longer be people that can't read or write. The new illiterate of the 21st century will be people that can learn and unlearn. And I think that we have to unlearn the idea that these things give us value. Because honestly speaking, people of color are the hottest thing since the sun, right? And whatever we add to, we give it value. So when we put the Gucci on, the Gucci don't give us value. The Louis don't give us value. The Yeezys don't give us value. The Nikes don't give us value. Even my Cool for Life stuff don't give you value. You give it value because you add that energy to it. You add that extra finesse to it. You add that spirit to it. Where somebody see you, be like, oh, that's a nice outfit. The clothes don't do that. So once we get that idea back that we make the clothes hot, then maybe you won't spend $1,000 or $15,000 on an item so you could tell people, oh, look, I got Gucci. Nah, well, what does that matter? How much philanthropy did you do in your community? What's your savings looking like? Who are you helping? You know what I'm saying? Do you own your own property? So what, you got a Louis or a Gucci belt? So what, you got a whole closet full of nice expensive clothes? What else did you create? What else did you set up? So for me as a leader, it's imperative that I give these young people the mindset that forget all of that stuff. If I could go back in the DeLorean, Michael J. Fox, and talk to my 21-year-old self, I'd be like, right before I went into the Gucci store, I'd have smacked myself like, yo, you better save all of that money. Go take that money right now. Work on your credit. Take that money. Matter of fact, don't take out that loan right now for school. Try to get a scholarship. I would have made little things so when I do get these degrees, I'm not in debt. Because a lot of our young kids now, when they graduate with these nice big degrees, they're in $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 in debt. Mm-hmm. So I think that you're right, Kirk. What can we do now? What we can do now is identify where we're going wrong at. Mm-hmm. Where are you spending your money and your time at? Are you mentoring? Are you adding to your community? Are you reading up, adding to the knowledge of yourself? Are you working out? What are you eating? Who are you hanging out with? First, you have to identify what's wrong. The first way you fix an issue is identifying the problem, and then you can rectify it. Right. Once you identify and you rectify the problem, now you change that mindset up, and it starts to become intentional. Because I think a lot of the problems of where people, I think a lot of the reasons why people of color suffer is because we're so broken up all of the time. And we only come together when it's a harsh tragedy. Somebody kid got to get killed, or they got to start threatening our freedoms. And then people of color like, oh my God, let's get together, y'all. But we not proactive. Even with our health, we wait, we eat fried chicken, we eat barbecue chicken, we eat collard greens. And then when we got to go to the doctor and they like, yo, you could potentially have a heart attack. It's like, oh man, like what should I do now? Right. But that's reactive. When are we going to get proactive and start being more intentional? So when you wake up every day, you spend more of your money every week on black-owned businesses, and it's intentional. You feel good. I feel good when I go into a black-owned shop or when I go into a black-owned business and I support, because I know I'm adding to the community as a whole. I know my money is not that big, but I know that my little piece or part is adding to the community. Yeah. So I think that's another reason. Once you identify where you're going wrong at and you change those thoughts, then you start to work on different ideas like supporting black-owned businesses. Go to a couple pop-up shops. Go to a couple poetry slams. Buy a couple authors or a couple books that you know about. There's people within your community like myself that's working. I worked on about 15 sweatshirts and hoodies today, sweating. I'm like messing up on stuff, fixing stuff, really working hard to put my stuff out there. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs like my brother Kirk and like my sister Tiama that stay up late night working on their craft. Support them. It means more. It's more value. It's not, we passed that time. We all been there. I've been you. I've been the, oh, I'm going to get the designer brand. I'm about to get this Gucci. I've been there. But now we have evolved. We see that even if we didn't evolve yet, that look at these brands and how they view us and how they treat us. They don't respect us. They having fashion shows with nooses. They reminding us about blackface and about how horrible that time was for our people. Why would we give our hard-earned money for that? You better off giving it to the entrepreneurs within your community. What do you think some of the things are we could do? What are some of the things that we could do to fix or to add to or fix the problem of why we don't support each other?
Well, I feel like first, most of us need to stop focusing on just trying to have what we never had. Like, that's the main reason why we follow these things is like we come from nothing, we never had nothing, and the only way you feel like you're worth something is if you get what these people have like taken away from you or said, no, you can't have this. A lot of us just want what people tell us we can't have. That's one. What we really need to focus on is what we need, like what we need for ourselves and what we need for our people. I feel like that's the start of it. Once you care about yourself and you have self-value and your mindset starts to shift and you become more positive and you're putting more positivity out there, you want to do more things like that because you realize how much it actually means. You realize the importance of it, and you don't put so much of that into material things.
I think that a lot of our people, a lot of our young people have bought into the idea that we're better off individually, that we can do things. And don't get me wrong, it all starts off intentional. So yes, as an individual, you have to take that step. But you got to understand that we're a part of a bigger puzzle. So we're all pieces to that puzzle. And what does a puzzle look like when you break up the whole puzzle and you just put one small piece? It looks like a small piece. But when you put the whole puzzle down, it gives you more of an idea. It gives you more intention or more structure to like what this idea is. Like, or it's more.
Give you the bigger picture.
Yeah, it gives you a bigger picture. So I think that we have to understand that we have to get back to loving each other unconditionally, respecting each other, and we have to teach our kids and we have to teach our young people, and even we have to reteach our adults that it's imperative that you start to love and respect your community, people within your community. We don't speak to each other. Like, we don't get up for women on the trains no more. We don't hold women's bags no more. We not nice to each other. Everything is like a trade-off. I always say that conditional love is a form of control. Unconditional love means is that I don't want nothing in return. Where do we lose that culture at? And I think that a lot of our young people have been conditioned through bad rap and hip hop, through bad TV, through bad role models, through poverty-stricken communities, that it's okay for us to live the way we live in. But that's why we have the dilemmas that we have now. That's why so many young people are not prepared. That's why so many of my friends don't have property. They don't have 850 credit score. They don't have $150,000 saved. And that's very possible for people our age. That just means that we would have had to be doing what we supposed to do in our 20s. Instead of, oh, I'm going to pop these bottles. Oh, nah, I'm about to go get this outfit. I'm about to go out. Oh, hold on. I got to make sure I have the new J's. Instead of doing all of that, if we'd have put all of that money into a bank account, we could have all had brownstones. Look at Brooklyn and gentrification. Imagine if 50% of the people within this community, instead of spending the money the way we spend our money, would have said, yo, we're going to invest in some brownstones. And we're going to wait for like the community to change up. How many millionaires would have got created? But we didn't have that idea, so I'm not going to live in that. Like you said, what could we do to fix it right now? Then the young people that's watching right now, yeah, it's okay to have a nice outfit, but you don't got to go to that big expensive mall. You could find different ways. You could buy different pieces, or you could create your own clothes. Do what I did. I went and got my own hoodies, my own sweatshirts, my own t-shirts. I said, you know what? I'm not going to continue giving these brands and these companies value. That I'm going to give my own self value by wearing clothes that inspire and uplift people. So I make shirts with quotes like, hate will destroy the world, love will save it, or put yourself on, or take control, or loyalty is a lifestyle. Things that make you think about, or wake up. Because I'm throwing triggers and little pokes at my people. Like, yo, it's time for us to do better. And I guess the best way to change or to be the example is to show action. Because how many people you know have a problem with the community or the president or the schools, but that's all that they have is opinions. They don't have no action. They don't go out there and they don't speak on nothing. They don't take any risk. They got a bunch of dreams, but no goals to make those dreams realities. We need more action. It's nothing wrong with having an opinion, but opinions without action is just pointless, in my opinion.
I think to piggyback on what you were saying about that self thing, right? I think that's one of the biggest problems in our community. It's identity problem. You know what I'm saying? People don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. They don't know that they have to love themselves to be a better person. You feel me? I think we need to start promoting that. Like, love yourself. Like I do in my family. I promote that all the time. Love yourself. Sometimes people might, love. But yo, you really have to love yourself, right? And to love everybody else. You really have to know yourself to know everybody else. That's the key. Get in tune with yourself. Know what you like, know what you don't like. Instead of following these people on TV. You know what I'm saying? Showing you all these fake realities. That don't, you know what I mean? All this stuff is fake, man. It's rap. Get in tune with yourself. Learn who you are as an individual. You know what I'm saying? And that way we can start. I think that's where the change starts. It starts with you. It starts with me. Me empowering myself and loving myself, so I can love everybody else and empower everybody else.
I agree 100%. When I was younger, I wasted a lot of time, even though I taught myself some things. I sold drugs. I hung around some good people, but I procrastinated a lot. And if I could tell the young people, or if I could give any advice to these young people, I would say that your time is very valuable. And one day I was 21, and the next thing I snapped my fingers, I was 28. Then now I'm 33. Like, the time is flying, right? So all the time that I wasted thinking that I was going to make more money in the streets, or all the time that I wasted procrastinating, I should have 2 degrees, 3 masters right now. But my grandfather got sick, and me and my aunt had to take care of him. So I had some things that slowed me up a little bit in life. But that's life. Life happens. I would say that to any young people, anybody that's listening, that if you have a dream or if you have an idea, then go out there and work toward bringing that dream and that idea to life. Don't let nothing hinder you. Don't let nothing stop you. Even if you fail, even if you get knocked off your feet, that failure is just informative. It's just a better way now for you to strategize. But believe in yourself. Believe in yourself under all circumstances. And don't use your environment. What Jay-Z said, I will never be a product of my environment. My environment will forever be a product of me. And that's how I feel. So I could come outside and see a bunch of drug dealers, a bunch of murderers, a bunch of failures, a bunch of people that's not doing what they supposed to do. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to be that. I'm going to be that example. I'm going to be that precedence. So if you are a person in your family and nobody got master's degrees or PhDs or nobody started their own business, then be that precedence. If nobody went to college, then be that precedence. If nobody did anything to change the community, then be that precedence. Don't focus on what's there, or don't use that like, oh, well, if nobody else in my family did it, so you be the first person that do it. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Absolutely. And that's why I go so hard. Where I put up me in school, I put up me making sweatshirts, I put up me selling sweatshirts, I put up podcasts because I'm living out my dreams. When I'm at work in the high school, I put up me giving videos in the high school because every day I want to show you different elements of how I'm living out my dreams. And it's far from easy. Being an entrepreneur is way harder than working for somebody. I'm going to be honest with you because it never stops. Like my days never stop. And I'm to the point right now where I'm obsessed with Cool for Life. I wake up thinking about it. I go to sleep thinking about it. And it interferes with my relationship, my friendships, because it's like, yo, I got to bring this dream to life. It makes me think about, this is weird, right? But Peter Pan was my favorite Disney character. And Peter Pan, Tinkerbell told Peter Pan one time, she said, yo, Peter, I'm going to give you this fairy dust. And in order for you to stay in the sky, you got to hold on to a happy thought. And Peter was like, what does that mean? So she was like, well, if you start thinking negatively while you in the sky, you're going to fall out the sky. It doesn't matter how much fairy dust you got. I took that analogy like, no matter what happens in the world, no matter what's going on, you have to hold on to that happy thought. And my happy thought is the fact that I have the audacity to live out my dreams. And y'all both doing the same. So what advice, we got a few minutes left. What advice would you give to a person out there right now that's second guessing whether they should take the chance and live out their dreams?
My advice is you can do it. Once you believe you can do it, you can do it. You gotta believe you deserve it. Because you do deserve it. Also, consistency. Feed your dream consistency. You feel me? It's your dream. You don't need to chase it. It's yours. You know what I'm saying? Just feed it consistency and your love. And stay away from overthinking. Overthinking is a trap. It's an enemy, man. It'll kill you. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Love yourself, man. Know you can do that and love yourself. And consistency.
Absolutely.
Discipline over motivation any day. Discipline over motivation. That's it.
I agree. I feel you have to believe in yourself more than you believe in anything else, and you have to train your mind, discipline your mind, and your thoughts. Like, those negative thoughts are gonna come. You're gonna second guess yourself. It's gonna happen, but you have to trust your gut and your spirit. Like, I swear, I feel like our gut is what tells us things. Like, that's the response in your body to let you know, like, what is for you and what is not. So you gotta follow your gut, follow your heart. If it feel right, you go for it.
I agree, and that was great feedback. My advice would be is that religion is cool, right? But that spiritual work is that work that you do in nature, that work that you do inside. That spiritual work is that meditation work, that making sure that you connected to the universe. I would say that all the young people, all the people out there that have a dream or have an idea, that like a lot of you said tonight, you pursue your dream consistently. You make sure that you believe in yourself under all circumstances, and that you're gonna come across naysayers. You're gonna come across, like I said, I don't call them bad days. I call them informative days. But you're going to come across bad days. You're going to come across days where nothing is working your way. And honestly speaking, that's just the universe testing you. That's the universe testing you, because there's millions and billions of people out there that say that they have a dream or an idea. But there's only a few that actually pursue that dream and then actually bring that dream to life, where that dream becomes successful. So the universe will test you. And when you get knocked off your feet, get back up with a smile. I always say, look at adversity in the face with a smile. Don't let nothing stop you. Adversity should never hinder you. Adversity should only give you the tools and the strategy needed for you to succeed. If adversity ever hinders you, that's you hindering you. Don't blame that on what you're going through. I don't care. I had broken family structures. I didn't grow up with my mother and my father. I grew up in a poverty-stricken community. I'm black. I have skin lupus. I went through a variety of different things. But guess what? I'm not going to let any of these things stop me. actually, I'm going to use these things as motivation so you could see this. So you could be like, yo, this brother didn't let nothing knock him off his feet. And I want you to say, you know what? I'm going to take a step forward. Because it's not just about me and my dreams and about Cool for Life. It's about all of us. It's about all of us coming together and being our best selves. Why continue working for somebody for 30 or 40 years? You know, why continue living out other people's dreams when we can live out our own dreams? We are divine. Excuse me, let me slow up for a second. We are divine beings that can manifest anything that we put our mind to. In order for you to manifest, you have to think something consistently, say something consistently, and do something consistently. Now, keep in mind, on both sides of the spectrum, negative or positive, you can manifest negative if you think negative and speak negative and do negative, and you can manifest positive if you speak positive, do positive, and think positive. So I think a lot of us, since we don't do that spiritual work, we think, oh, I read the Bible and went to church. No, you're not understanding that everything you say out your mouth is manifested something. So when you be like, oh, I'm having a bad day, and then you really lose your wallet and have a bad day, you blame it on the devil. But you don't blame it on your thoughts and the words that came out your mouth. That's why I'm very intentional now when I wake up. I thank the universe and I thank God for waking me up, because a lot of people don't wake up. And then I'm intentional on my day. What am I going to do to better my day? What am I going to do to better somebody else's day? Because that's another thing about supporting Black-owned businesses. It's an African proverb that said, when you die and you get to the gates, they weigh everything with a feather, right? On one side of the feather, the first question is, have you did anything in your life that brought joy to your life? You answer the question. The second question is, have you did anything in other people's lives that brought joy to their lives? So it says to me that it's just as important for us to help other people live out their dreams as it's important for us to live out our dreams. Right. So it always has to be a pay it forward state of mind. That's what I call it. Pay it forward means that I do my best to try to help people every single day. And I don't look for nothing in return, because I know that the universe got me. So that's that spiritual work that I do, that I make sure every day that I'm good. I make sure every day I support somebody. I make sure every day I believe in myself. And I know that, my success is like a garden right now. And I gotta water my garden with good thoughts, good people. I gotta be consistent. I gotta keep the weeds out, which the weeds of real life is negative thoughts. And I gotta make sure I provide it with a lot of sunlight. And this is sunlight to me. It's this community and this connections that I have with people. And when I wake up every day and I could call my friend, I talk to Tiama and Kirk on a regular basis about how we could better ourselves. So I think that to end this off, or to end my idea of what young people need to hear, I would say that the only thing that's stopping you is you. Whatever negative thoughts or whatever negative ideas that you have bought into, let it go. If you're around negative people, I don't care if it's your moms, your father, your uncles, separate yourself from them. Don't take anything personal. Life is not personal. When things happen, it's not happening to you. It's happening because that's just the course of life. And we have to deal with things. And in life, we're going to deal with death. We're going to deal with failure. We're going to deal with success. We're going to deal with things going our way, and we're going to deal with things not going our way. But that's the beautiful thing about life. That's why it's such an amazing adventure. But don't let anything stop you. Remember that you are an amazing individual, and that you could bring any dream that you have in your mind of life as long as you believe so. Is there anything that y'all would like to leave with the people before we go?
Love yourself, man. Yeah. Love yourself.
Love yourself and put yourself first before anything. Until you take care of you, you can't take care of nobody else.
Absolutely. That's the key, man.
I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and everybody for watching. I thank y'all for coming out. Is there anything, would you like to tell the people anything about your sites or websites so they can check you out?
You can find me on my IG page is @l._. And also got a Facebook page, love.period.
And mine is Nakiyah's Gallery. That's NAKIYAH Gallery on Instagram.
My Instagram is coolforlife_Inc. You can always check out coolforlife.com for any new gear that you see, or if you want a positive message, you need to talk to somebody, or you just need something that can uplift you, you can always check out coolforlife.com. This is my first podcast, and I wanted to make sure that I was intentional on who I invited, and the people I invited, I wish well. I love them unconditionally, and I want them to do well in their businesses, and I know that they're going to leave a major impact in this world. And I want to make this podcast a platform where we talk about social issues, like I said, where we come together, we show unity, we talk about how we feel, we talk about how we can grow as individuals and how we can grow as a collective unit. And I think this is going to be something great. It's always something that I wanted to do, so this is me actually still living on my dreams. I appreciate We Say What We Can't Radio for allowing me the opportunity to do this, and I look forward to just growing with y'all. I look forward to interesting conversations. One day soon, I'm gonna have a way where you could call in if you have any questions. Shout out to all the people on my Instagram live that stayed in and watched this. I appreciate y'all support, and I appreciate everybody. I appreciate all of us. Like Kirk said, the most important thing about this is to remember that we need to love ourselves. Before you could love anybody, before you could support any businesses, before you could change the world, you gotta love yourself and change your own world. That's the best way to actually change the world, y'all, is to change your world. Once you start to change your world, mentally, physically, and spiritually, you will start to see the world change around you. Tiama, I appreciate you for coming. Kirk, I appreciate you for coming. And everybody that watched this, I appreciate you for coming. Y'all make sure y'all stay cool for life. Y'all stay young, gifted, and black. And we'll talk soon.